Hey everyone! In this video, we'll be going over how to compute descriptive statistics such as the mean and the standard deviation in SPSS. In addition to that, we'll be looking at how to create scatter plots in SPSS. Scatter plots, they plot the relationship between two variables, and we'll be looking at how to customize these plots based on the different options that are available in SPSS. So the easiest way to get started is to just go ahead and find where your right data 1 dataset is in whatever folder you may have put it, and just go ahead and double click that, and that will automatically open up SPSS and open up that dataset, and we'll start there. Okay, so here I've located my dataset in my, I have it in my C drive in the datasets folder. I found the .sav file, which is the SPSS data file. I double clicked it, and then it opened, and then I have it here. So while we're in data view, you can see we have Y, and then we have X1, X2, X3, X4, and X5. So we have 6 variables total, and then we can see that also in variable view, where we have Y, and then X1 through X5. These are all scale measures. There are no categorical variables that we're dealing with here, so they're all continuous. So make sure that these are all set to scale. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go over in SPSS here is how to compute descriptives. So first, we go to Analyze, and then under Descriptive Statistics, we click on Descriptives. Okay. We want to take all of these variables and put them in this box here. So if you just hold Shift and click all the way down to X5, it will highlight all the variables. We'll click on this arrow here, moving all of the variables into the variables box, and then we'll go ahead and click on Options here. So we want the means, that's already checked, the standard deviations, we want the variances, the minimum, the maximum, and then also the range. Here you can also request the kurtosis and skewness. We could do that here, and then just click Continue. And then to compute the descriptives, we could just click OK. So here the output window has opened up, and then here we have our table of descriptives. So our variables are on the rows. We have Y and then X1 through X5. And then on the columns here are the descriptives that we've requested. So here we have our N, so 150. It's the same sample size for each variable. We have the range, the minimum, the maximum, the mean, the standard deviation, the variance, and then we have skewness and kurtosis. So for skewness, we could see that all these values are close to 0, which indicates no skewness, so that's indicative of normality. And then for kurtosis, these values are also pretty close to 0. It's important to note, though, that if the absence of kurtosis is indicated by the number 0, or if values closer to 0 are indicative of an absence of kurtosis, it is actually computing excess positive kurtosis. So the kurtosis for a normal distribution is actually equal to 3. But a lot of programs, what they'll do is they'll take that kurtosis value that's computed, and they'll subtract 3 so that values closer to 0 are indicative of distributions that are more normal. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we have our descriptives here, and then now we'll move on to creating a scatter plot, which plots the relationship between two variables. And the variables that we'll be focusing on are X1 and Y. So to get our default scatter plot going, we'll go to Graphs, and then under Legacy Dialogues, there's Scatter/Dot. So go ahead and click on that. And then we just want a simple scatter, so we'll highlight that and then click on Define. So on the Y-axis, which is our vertical axis, we want Y. And then on the X-axis, our horizontal axis, we want X1. Okay, we'll go ahead and add a title here. So the title that I'll be using is Scatter Plot of X1 and Y. And then if you want to add a subtitle or a footnote, you can do that as well. I'll go ahead and click Continue. Just check options to make sure everything's good. We don't have any missing, so we don't have to worry about this. The default is fine, and everything looks good here. So we'll just click continue. We'll click OK. And here we go. So in our output viewer, we have our, this is the default scatter plot that's produced by SPSS. And then now I'll show how to make customizations based on the options that are available to us in SPSS. So first, I'll go over how to edit the point characters. So in case you don't want a circle and you want something different. So whenever you're making changes to a scatter plot, the first thing to do is to double click. Right here it says double click to activate. And that will open up the chart editor. And then this is actually where we'll be making all of our changes. And once you're done making all of your changes, you can just exit out of the box, and that will take all of your changes and apply it to the plot here that's grayed out right now in the output viewer. So to change the point character, we'll just double click on any point, and then type is right here. So let's say we want to change this to diamonds. So we can click on that here, and then if we want to change the size, we can change that here. And then if we want to change the fill color, you can click on fill, and let's say we'll change it to orange, and then we'll keep the border black. You could change the border width here, and then once you're done, you could just go ahead and press apply. And then you can close this properties box. And there we go. So all of our points now, we've changed the point character, we've changed the fill color, and then we've specified a black outline. Okay. Now what we'll go over is how to get rid of these horizontal lines. So if you're thinking about publishing your plot in a paper, or including it in a manuscript, these horizontal lines aren't APA. So to get rid of them, we could just go ahead and double click any horizontal line. And then what we want to click here is transparent. We'll click apply, and then we can close this. So they're highlighted here, so it still looks like they're here, but if you click out of the chart, you can see that the lines are gone now. Okay. Another thing we'll change is 3 decimal points might be kind of a lot for a graph, so we'll change the range, or we'll change the decimal places here on the axis. So if you just double click on anything, on any of the numbers on the axis, we could go to number format, and decimal places will change to, let's see if 0 will work. Yep. And then we can go ahead and just click close, and then we'll do the same thing for the y-axis. So that makes the plot look a lot cleaner. You might want some decimal places if the scale of the variable calls for it, but since we're just plotting a simple scatter plot here, whole integers is just fine and looks cleaner. Okay. If you want to edit the labels for the plot, you can just, I think it's, once you highlight it, you can just single click, and then it will highlight the cursor, it'll start blinking, and then you can actually just change it to whatever label that you want. And you can do it for both axes here. But I'm going to go ahead and keep the original names. Okay, so that shows a little bit of how to customize the aesthetics of your plot. The last thing I'll show here is how to add a regression line and then how to customize that regression line. So to add a regression line, a lot of these icons look the same. The one that you want is the one that has the dots and the line. So if you hover over it, it says add fit line at total. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And then here, you could pick what kind of line you want to fit. We're just going to focus on linear. Let's see. And then we can change the style here. So I want it to be a little bit thicker, so I'll choose a weight of 3. And then I want it to be a solid line. And then, let's see, I want to make the line, let's say this navy blue here. Okay. There's one more thing that we want to do here. Okay, it's not here. So we'll go ahead and just apply this first, and that will change, that will add the line to our plot. Then we can close. And there you have it. So you have your regression line now. We made it a bit thicker, and it's navy blue. I want to get rid of this formula though. So if we go to reference line, we can uncheck attach label to line, and we'll apply. As you can see, it makes the formula go away because we don't want that in there. And then that's it. So we have our scatter plot, we've added our regression line, and so now we can close, now that we're done with all of our customizations and the plot is to our liking, you can go ahead and close the chart editor, and it will apply all of those changes to the plot in our output viewer. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to show you, the last thing that I'll show you is how to export any of the output that you get in SPSS in the output viewer, how to export that to a Word document. So that way, if you want to take this and you want to copy and paste it into a manuscript, you can do that. Or just so that you have a document that contains all of the output from any analysis. Because once you close out of this, you could save this, but it is going to be in an SPSS output format. It's a little bit easier to save it just to a simple Word document. So the way that we do that is we go to File, Export, and then here, by default, it's Word or RTF, which is rich text format. We want to export all, and then here, you could just pick the folder that you want to put the file in. So I'll just put it where I have my data sets. So that's in the C, for me it's in the C drive in the datasets folder. And then I want to name it week 3 output. Go ahead and save. And then for your graphics, so any plots, you can specify the file type. Actually, you can't, so it'll be a PNG, but that's fine. And then we'll go ahead and just click OK. And then if we go, so this is my file finder. I'm in my datasets folder in the C drive. You can see that here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this Word document, week 3 output, the one that we just created. Take a second here for Word to open up. All right, and so we have notes that SPSS will give you, but we can ignore most of that. And then here we have our table of descriptives. It is longer than the width of the page, so it does continue on down here. And then we have our graph here, which is easy to cut and paste into documents. All right, and so with that, that concludes this video on descriptive statistics and scatter plots in SPSS.